Welcome to From Stuck to Scale, growth strategies for small and mid-sized businesses, your guide to navigating growth, transformation, and success in today's ever-changing business landscape. Each week, we'll dive into proven strategies, real-world case studies, and actionable insights designed to help small and mid-sized business owners scale smart, lead stronger, and grow faster. Let's get you unstuck and on the path to sustainable, scalable success. Now your host, Julio Gonzalez.
Welcome to another episode of the From Stuck to Scale podcast. I'm your host, Julio Gonzalez, and today we're diving into the world of law firm leadership with an expert who's dedicated to making scaling simple and stress-free. In this episode, we'll explore how law firms can scale profitably without the burnout that often accompanies growth. We'll tackle questions about the entrepreneurial mindset among lawyers, the most costly growth mistakes law firms make, and effective strategies for transforming decision-making through data. With insights from her forthcoming book, Scaling Law, our guests will guide us on how to shift our mindset and business practices to achieve sustainable growth on our own terms. Let's get started. Brooke Lively has over 20 years of experience in the legal industry. She's dedicated her career to helping law firms achieve clarity, accountability, and sustainable growth through her innovative approach at scaling law. As a serial entrepreneur and founder of companies specifically focused on law firms, she combines her financial expertise and strategic insight to empower attorneys to transform their practices into profitable businesses that align to their visions. Brooke's remarkable ability to simplify complexity and inspire change has made her a trusted resource for hundreds of law firms across the country. As an international best-selling author with 8 published books, including her upcoming work, Scaling Law, she continues to shape the conversation around effective business practices in the legal field. With features in major outlets like CNBC and Forbes, Brooke is not just a thought leader, she's a driving force in helping lawyers reduce stress and chaos, making scaling a legal practice feel less daunting and more achievable. All right, so let's welcome Brooke to the show. Hey, Brooke, it is so great to have you on From Stuck to Scaled.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Wow. Brooke Lively. I own CathCap, which is a fractional CFO company. And once I got that up and running and our COO took it over, I became an EOS implementer and have now started a company called Scaling Law. One of the things that I discovered was that there are a lot of attorneys out there who don't understand how amazing EOS can be, the Entrepreneurial Operating System can be for a law firm. And so EOS is actually publishing my book about how to implement EOS in law firms.
Oh, that's awesome. So we're getting a chicken soup version of
EOS. Yeah, traction.
Awesome. I love that.
I hadn't thought of it that way. Thanks.
Yeah, they did such a great job with those books. It's like, how do you not, it's a great idea to work off of.
I don't know who their marketing company was, but we all need to hire them.
That's right. So how did you get into scaling law firms?
Almost by accident. I seem to have some kind of, all right, so I have a hang up about attorneys. My dad's an attorney. My brother's an attorney, 2 uncles. I can't even count the number of cousins. And virtually every guy I've ever dated is or grew up to be, because the guys I dated in high school grew up to be 6'2" left-handed lawyers that wear glasses. So we got to just start with that. But somehow after grad school, I ended up running my father's law firm. And I had hired someone to help with sales and marketing. And his clients came to me and said, can you do for us what you do for your family's firm? And that was when I discovered that lawyers really didn't understand the business of a law firm. They knew how to practice law, but they didn't know how to do it by the numbers. And that was like, it doesn't have to be so hard for you guys. I can help you do this.
Well, and that's a recurring theme with so many founders, right? Because they know how to manufacture their widget, but they don't know how to run a business.
No.
So it's great to have someone like you in their back pocket that they can use to really transform their practice into a business. So when you go into these practices, what's one of the first things that you always see that's just like, oh, come on, please?
You say that, and I have to think of the conversation I had, about an hour and a half ago with somebody, because we almost always have it. And she wasn't a law firm. She happened to be a technology company, but it's are we paying people and billing them out at the correct ratio? And are we paying them in such a way that we're incentivizing them to do what we want them to do? And the answer is no, you can't mark your people up only 25% and think that you're going to make enough money.
And, I've worked with enough law firms where, you hear about these crazy rates, but I keep hearing that attorneys don't know how to bill. Is that something that you find?
There are a few billing problems. One is they forget to write down their time. Another one is they write it down and then they think, oh God, I can't actually charge my client for all of that. And that's a hard one, because I'm like, did you do the work? They're like, yeah. I'm like, and we can't bill them for the work. Why? Well, that bill's going to be astronomical. I'm like, I get that. But did you do the work? Yeah. Like, we can't, it's too much. So we've got that. Attorneys aren't great at collecting. There are some attorneys that, especially in smaller practices, that just don't like to bill. And when I say that, I mean, they don't like to send their bills out. So they might not do it really regularly on the first of every month. So they might not go out for 2 or 3 months. And then they really don't want to send them out, because now it's got 2 or 3 months worth of billing on there. So now it's going to be a really big bill. It's all wrapped up in, I don't want to overcharge my clients. I don't want to have to talk about money with them. And I don't want to have a conversation with them about something that they can't pay.
Is there an aspect of that around improperly setting expectations up front, or is it more along the lines of this case has really dragged on a lot broader, longer, bigger than anticipated, or both?
I think there are a couple of things. I think one is having a little bit of self-confidence and knowing your worth. You did the freaking work. And yes, it is okay to bill that much. You're worth it. I think part of it is setting expectations. Part of it is, when my father died, somebody came up to me, and what he said was, your father was a true advocate for his clients, and he really did what was best for them. And one of the things that I would hear him say consistently is, are you sure you want to move forward with this case? He was a litigator, and he would really set those expectations, especially every time they got, litigation kind of has stages.
Sure.
And he'd say, do you really want to do this? And I've done that with clients who have been stuck in litigation. Like my attorney clients, I'm like, are we doing this like because like why are we doing this? And generally the answer is because I'm pissed off. I'm like, okay, are you $100,000 pissed off? They're like, yes. I'm like, okay. So just so we're clear, you're lighting $100,000 and you're throwing it out the window and you're okay with that because you want to make a point. They're like, yeah, all right. But not a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
And put it that bluntly. I think a lot of it is they don't have their fee agreement set up well. You've got to get an initial deposit. You have to put something in trust. And then you have to maintain money in trust so that that client is paying in monthly and you've got some cushion for when they run into some cash flow issues, because they will run into cash flow issues. Everybody runs into cash flow issues.
Yep.
Texaco runs into cash flow issues. And that's okay. Just, have a little bit of cushion in there for you because their cash flow issue shouldn't be your cash flow issue.
Yep, agreed. So now let's talk about how you bring EOS into the picture. So, you've got, this initial, visibility into some of their issues and you're helping them, bring in better structure. How do you approach that aspect?
Well, let me tell you how we ended up with EOS being so strong. So we were looking at our clients in the CFO company, and we kind of divided them into 3 buckets. Bucket A were those firms that started working with us and their results were just amazing. Like everything was high and to the right. And then there were those people who were making nice, good, steady progress with us. Awesome. Well, not as awesome as the hockey stick people, but we were pretty happy. And then there were these other people that you couldn't even tell they were working with us. And we're like, what are we doing with bucket A that we're not doing with bucket C? We're a bunch of data-driven ladies. We dug. We looked at the data, and it turns out we were using the same tools. We were giving them the same strategic advice as appropriate, but what we were doing wasn't changing. The difference was bucket A was executing and bucket C wasn't. We're like, okay. And then we started digging a little more and we noticed that every single firm in bucket A, with the exception of one, was running on EOS. We're like, aha, EOS is getting them to execute. And we weren't surprised about this because we ran on EOS.
Sure.
Gino Wickman wrote a quote for the front of a couple of my books. So like that, we weren't surprised at all. And so EOS became our number 1 outgoing referral. And I kept getting all this feedback from attorneys going, I cannot find an EOS implementer who was willing to work with a law firm. And I'm like, okay, I don't know why people don't like lawyers. I love lawyers. What's wrong with lawyers? And then the other thing they would say is, I found somebody, but they don't understand the legal industry. So when Cathcat didn't need me anymore, that's really why I started doing this, because I like lawyers and I understand the industry. And to be able to help law firms boil it down to what are the 3 to 5 most important things that we have to get done this quarter? And if we say yes to these things, we're going to say no to everything else.
And one of the aspects of EOS that I like is the meeting structure. Mm-hmm. It seems that would be a little challenging to attorneys, how do attorneys receive, that kind of discipline in their meetings?
Well, attorneys are actually, they're used to the discipline and the structure. Because if you think about it, the law is very disciplined in structure. You can't just get up in the middle of court and start talking. There are procedures, there are rules, they're different in state court or county court than they are from federal court. And you got to know all those differences. So they're used to that. I think what gets them the most is that I want them to sit in a meeting for 90 minutes. They're like, I can't do 90 minutes. I don't have time for 90 minutes. I'm like, yes. I'm just going to get rid of all these other meetings that are on your calendar. They're like, what do you mean they're going to get rid of other meetings? Like, I'm going to get you so that you're in like 2 90-minute meetings a week and that's it. And they're like, okay, now I'm interested. I'm like, and we're going to get problem solved the first time so that we're not on that, deja vu of, are we still talking about this problem? And they become much more receptive really once they start doing it. But in the beginning, it's really the time commitment that scares the crud out of them.
And what are some of the other challenges in getting the attorneys engaged to be able to get that messaging into them? Because buy-in, any environment that you've got significant change, you're going to have a buy-in issue. So how do you help them get through that, get on board? What's that process look like?
So it's funny, we had a client, a CFO client one time, and we asked that our clients make a 1-year commitment to us. And initially they didn't want to do it. And the more they didn't want to do it, the more we insisted on it. And so they finally said, okay, they signed a 1-year agreement, and we got a call from somebody in their financial department who was like, we are so excited about working with you guys. We're like, okay, why? Something's actually going to get done this time. What do you mean? They're like, oh, all the other people that come in here get pushed out within like 3 months. So no one in the firm ever changes anything because they know they can outlast anybody that comes in. So with EOS, we don't come in and change the entire firm day one, because you're not going to get buy-in.
Right.
Because everybody thinks, oh, this is a passing fad. I'll be able to outlast it. We get the leadership team going really well. I've had teams that have been a year in with the leadership team before they started rolling it out to the next level of managers. Not even to the other 100 and some odd employees, just to open it up to that next 20
Sure.
people. And that is okay, because they're going to have the buy-in that they need. Because every person on that leadership team is 100% bought in. They have all seen the results. They all understand it. And they understand it well enough to teach it. And that's what makes a difference.
A friend of mine has a company focused on agile development.
Mm-hmm.
And they've kind of faced that same situation. And they've got this one case study that they use, a fantastic case study, and they started doing agile at that leadership level.
Mm-hmm.
And when they were able to push that down through the rest of the organization, the success was phenomenal. But it's hard sometimes to get that, top level leadership to really buy in. So it's great that you work with them, the way that you do, and get them, to really understand and buy in to be able to teach it. because if you can teach it, you can get people on board.
We talk about mastery a lot. And, what is mastery? And mastery is using it and being able to explain it to somebody else. So,
yeah, because it's too easy to point to, go talk to Brooke. She'll tell you, what to do with it, and it's not that easy because that just shows.
I am so sorry. I really apologize.
No worries. So 2232. Edit.
I thought I had shut everything down. Apparently, I missed Zoom.
No worries. That's why I take notes. We were talking about the buy-in and education.
Yeah, it's easy to say, go talk to Brooke.
That's
But
right.
when you can actually teach it, when you can actually say, here's how you do it.
Yeah, because if you're pointing to a consultant, to tell other people about it, it's very different from you as the leader, demonstrating to your staff that you're fully bought in to that program. And I think that's really where the rest of the organization comes in when they see that it's not just lip service, that the leader is truly living and breathing this concept. So that to me is a huge win, to be able to get the leader to that point, because I've seen too many different change initiatives fail because that leader just hasn't bought in.
Yeah. Because they think it's a passing fad and they can outlast it.
And that year engagement, I think, is critical for that, because they've got to, at that point, hang on for that year and work it for the year. So that's a great tactic that you've built into your business to make sure that law office gets the benefit and the success of their work with you. So kudos to you on that.
All right. Well, let me be clear.
Mm-hmm.
CAFCAP, the CFO company, asks for the 1-year commitment. In EOS, we don't.
Okay.
EOS, it's day by day. That is where it really has to be the buy-in of that leadership team. Because the last thing I'm going to do is go in and spend an entire day with a leadership team that doesn't want to be there. They have to choose to be in that room. As a CFO, we can battle some people on the team.
So how do you get them to commit? Because I've been in too many boardrooms where it is the lip service, and they say yes, we're going to do this, but they don't.
We generally turn about 60% of the leadership team over.
Okay.
I mean, I wish I could sugarcoat it and make it nicer or better, but very often we discover that we've got the wrong people in the seats. They're either, Jim Collins came up with right people in the right seats, RPRS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right people, he talks about getting the right people on the bus. They're the ones that are a core value match, that match your culture, that fit in. And then then you want them in the right seat. Are they doing a job that in EOS terms, we say, do they GWC it? Do they get it? Do they understand what the job entails? Do they want it? You would be shocked at how often, especially small companies, put people in jobs they don't want.
No, totally. I'm not shocked, unfortunately.
Been there for a while. And then do they have the capacity to do it? Do they have the skill set and the God-given ability to do whatever that job is? So, so often I've discovered, we go in and I've discovered that person that started as a receptionist is now the CFO. I'm like, okay. Have you ever taken an accounting class? Or a finance class? No, I took math in high school. Okay. So we gave you a title and a job you can't do.
But they've been there for 15 years.
But that's not fair. It's the Peter principle. We have promoted them to the point of their incompetence.
Yeah.
And that's mean. Or we have hired people who might have the skill set, but they're not a core values match.
Yeah.
And I call these people terrorists because they basically hold you hostage, right? Can't get rid of them because they're so productive or because they're the only one that knows how to do something. Meanwhile, they're terrorizing everybody else on your team and they're running off your amazing employees because you're doing everything you can to appease them and make them happy. They got to go.
And so often those business owners don't want to see that because something is getting done, right? Either the accounting is getting done. They must be a good CFO. The production is getting done. But at the end of the day, is it being done to the level that your business deserves, that you need for the growth of your business? And in so many cases, those founders tend to default to it's okay versus making the hard decisions, for their own benefit. Because at the end of the day, it's for the benefit of the business, which is to that founder. So how do you get that message across to them?
That's really hard. And all I can do is share my experience. And here's what I've experienced. And I'll do it in terms of your most productive employee. When you fire that most productive employee who is a terrorist, who's not a core values match, the one that you're so afraid to get rid of, that you think your entire business is going to go down the drain. You're never going to get a new client. You're never going to get another widget out the door. You're never nothing, you feel like everything sits on this one person. Two things are going to happen. First, production is going to stay the same or possibly increase.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, wait. But you just got rid of my most productive person. What do you mean? Production's going to go up. Well, all that time that people spent in the bathroom hiding from the terrorist or in the hallway gossiping about, oh my God, did you see what they did? Well, no, they did this, they did that. All that time can now be spent working. And hello, they're just thrilled that that person is gone, and they are going to pitch in and do anything they can to help. You want me to stay for a couple extra hours? Great. You want me to come in on Saturday? No problem. I will be here. The other thing that happens is a steady stream of people come into the owner or the founder's office. And they usually say, again, one of two things. The first is, thank you for finally dealing with that. Thank you for getting that person out of here. They were such a distraction. They were so horrible. They made it miserable. And the second group, who's usually been with you a little longer, comes in and says, what the hell took you so long? We've been dealing with that forever. So it's completely counterintuitive. But the happiness factor is amazing. It just really, it does wonders for the morale of your company. And it buys you a lot of trust and goodwill.
For a second there, I forgot we were talking about law firms. And it's like, wait a minute. every company deals with the same issues.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been in that environment, with that terrorist more than once. I think we all have, and that family member. So, it's not great to hear, but it's reassuring to hear that everybody deals with, many of the same issues. So tackling them, works, pretty much the same way, regardless of the company.
Look, there aren't that many issues in business. It boils down to just a handful. Whether we're solving that in a law firm or a manufacturing plant or, I don't know what else, somewhere else. It's the same problem. Might look a little different, but it's the same issue.
Yep.
We're still dealing with people. We are still selling, and we're still trying to get some kind of product out the door, whether that product is a widget, a sweater, or a divorce decree. Doesn't matter.
And Brooke, I've heard from, a lot of attorney friends around the stresses of running a law practice. Do you find your clients, there's always going to be stress, but do you find that with an EOS implementation, they're finding the reassurance and the relief, that it's not just always running ragged? So is there less stress, are you finding, in your customer base after, you come in and do your work?
Yeah, what's really amazing is that it tends, in most law firms, there's a lot of pressure on the founder owner. And the firm grows, and that poor founder is trying to keep up with everything. And they can only keep up with so much. And the bigger it gets, the more stress they're under. And when we go in and implement EOS, and we get the right people in the right seats, and we get really good data so that we can make decisions based on information as opposed to like gut instinct, which, when you're making it on gut instinct, you make every decision 14 times, you second guess yourself, and it's just a disaster. When we can identify the issues and solve them the first time they come up, instead of just complaining and talking about it for 2 months, when we know where we're going, the whole company knows where they're going. So when they're making those decisions, they're making them in line with those ultimate goals. And when we've set up processes and procedures, all of a sudden, stuff starts falling off of that owner, because the other people in the firm become empowered. He knows that they're going to make decisions that get them to the destination. She knows they're going to make decisions based on data and not their gut instinct, which could be totally wrong. They know they have qualified people in the seats. It spreads the responsibility, and the stress diminishes significantly.
One of the best definitions that I ever heard about corporate culture was a defined decision-making capability, which goes completely against, what most people see. Corporate culture is, we donate to certain causes, and we have, holiday parties. And it's just, every time I see one of those, I cringe, so that, definition, resonates so much with me. And that's what I'm hearing from you, that standardization, of how to conduct business.
Well, and it's putting the greater good of the firm in front of yourself.
Yep, absolutely.
Making a decision that moves the firm closer to its goal.
So Brooke, you've gone in now and you have implemented EOS. This law firm is operating so much more effectively. What is that biggest competitive advantage that they now have?
I think it's the ability to scale, frankly, because they can solve the problems. They can see what they need. There is a process for things, and they've got responsible adults in there that are the right people in the right seats. We've solved the people issues.
Yeah.
And when you've got the right people in the right seats, rowing in the same direction towards that one vision, you have the confidence to expand and scale because it's not all sitting on you as the owner.
No, that's great. And the fact that you have everyone rowing in the same direction, is really, to me, the most powerful visualization of that.
Yeah, I always see like those Viking longships.
Yes.
And I see the oars coming out and they're going in like 14 different directions and it's like kind of spinning in the middle of the ocean. No, we need everybody rowing together in the same direction.
Yeah, makes such an incredible difference.
Yeah.
And I know you've got a book coming. I see a book cover behind you. Tell me a little bit about Scaling Law.
Scaling Law, it's my new book. It's coming out in just a couple of weeks. It comes out February 24th. It is being published by EOS. So this is the first book sanctioned by EOS about how to implement EOS in a law firm. So, yeah, I'm super excited about it. It's written in lawyer language. It uses lawyer examples. And it really, I just want law firms to understand how powerful it can be. Because so often I hear them say, oh, yeah, all my friends talk about EOS, but it doesn't work in a law firm. And yeah, it does. It works really well. And I just want people to know that. So Scaling Law teaches you how to implement it.
And you've been doing this long enough. And, the fact that you've got, EOS's backing on this is it's a testament to your experience. So kudos to you on that.
Well, and I've started training other implementers in how to work with law firms because I don't want law firms to complain that they can't find an implementer that won't work with them, or that when they do find one, they don't understand the legal industry. I may be the only implementer that only works with law firms, but that doesn't mean we can't have a handful that are trained to do it also.
So, Brooke, as you know, no one leaves the podcast without providing some actionable tips that our listeners can implement today to help improve their business. So what do you have for us?
Wow.
You gave us a bunch. We just need a recap.
We need a recap. I think
implement EOS.
I think the biggest one is really just to implement EOS. Find a system that works for you. Implement it slowly at the leadership team level. And once you all are all 100% bought in, once you all know how to do it well enough that you can teach it, then start pushing it down to the rest of your team. And let me tell you, if you are not a law firm, if you're a law firm, wait 2 weeks and get my book. If you're not a law firm, there are 2 books. There's Traction and Get a Grip. Traction is a little bit more textbook, would you say?
Yeah.
And then Get a Grip is a parable. It's the story of the company that implements EOS and in what happens and the 60% turnover in their leadership team. And I don't think it was quite that high. But anyway, so depending upon what you like, do you like to read the fairy tale or do you like to read the academic book? Read the book. Or do you like to read the lawyer book? There you go. You've got one of 3 books to read.
There you go. And Brooke, where can our listeners find you?
I think the easiest place right now is scalinglaw.com.
That's an easy one. And that wraps up today's episode of From Stuck to Scaled. And I lost my place, so I'll start that over. That wraps up today's episode of From Stuck to Scaled. A huge thank you to Brooke Lively for sharing her invaluable insights on how law firm leaders can scale profitably without burning out. Remember, it's all about treating your business as a practice, identifying time wasters, and implementing systems that empower rather than constrain. Watch out for those terrorists. If you're ready to take your law firm to the next level, make sure to grab a copy of Brooke's forthcoming book, Scaling Law, launching February 24th. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Don't forget to subscribe and tune in next time for more strategies that will help you grow your business and thrive. Until then, keep pushing forward and let's get scaling. Thank you, Brooke.
Thanks, Julio.
You've been listening to From Stuck to Scaled, growth strategies for small and mid-sized businesses, produced by Optocution LLC. For more information, tools, and resources, check out our website www.redefinepossible.co/podcast.